Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you the new named folder views and how you can use custom columns in the Kanban view and also change the order to a custom order and a couple of other smaller improvements. But let's get right into it. So first of all, if you open any folder, so I have here a folder with a couple of demo nodes, you will notice that we have updated the user interface, so it's a bit leaner now. And we have the filter, group, sort, properties, and help on the right side. And on the left one, we have a new button, which combines different options. One option is the level option with nodes and tasks. And we have renamed style to layout, which still has a list and cards. Below it, the available views, which you have already saved. And then below this, we have add view, rename view, and delete view. So by default, your view is just called view, your first one. So let's rename this one to nodes. Okay, now if you click here, you see it's named nodes, and you also have still just one view, but it's called nodes. We can add another view called tasks. And now you can switch between those views, but they're not configured yet. So let's go to nodes first. And we want to have a cards layout. So by default, it's grouped by folder, but we want to have like a typical Kanban style status columns. So let's add one to at least one of the nodes. So I opened it here and then click on properties and then add status here. And let's call this VIP, like work in progress. I show you in a minute why I have called it like this. And then now we can group it by status. Now status actually appears under the group drop down. And now you see we have the VIP column here with this node. And what we can do now with the uncategorized nodes, the rest of them, so we can all push them into backlog without having to drag each node. So we can do this with this new button, some menu button in the column name. You can insert new columns before and after, and you can move the columns around here to the left or to the right and rename them. So let's rename uncategorized simply to backlog. Now, if we open one of those nodes, you will see it has added the status property now to each of those nodes which didn't have any property at all before. So in the past, in the previous version, you had to add the properties manually or with AI, but still individually, or you had to individually move them by drag and drop into a column. So now you can just rename the uncategorized group, and you have populated the status with all of the nodes. And that's why I have used backlog. So by default, all these nodes now are in the backlog. And one is in work in progress. So we don't need to populate the existing columns by adding these values to the nodes. We just need to add one, so we have the grouping value here in the drop down. So now we can add the another or more columns by clicking on the plus. Oh no, sorry. Let's delete this. This is how you can add a new node to a column. But let's add actually a new column, which is here insert after or insert column after. Let's name this finished. And it tries to sort it somehow alphabetically initially, but this doesn't make sense, of course. So we can move this to the right. And now let's say we can move some of the nodes here, and backlog should be on the left. So now it's correct. And now we can move cards between those columns. And we can also add a column in between after. So let's say this is review. Now it's correct. Let's move one here, for example. And if you have an empty column which you don't want to have anymore, you can click here and then this option here becomes available, remove empty column, and you can delete it. So this is how the custom columns work and how you can change the order without having to prepend any numbers. So it looks much cleaner now, and you can rename it and do some bulk operations basically on the nodes. So let's switch to tasks. So it's you have to switch here level as well to tasks, and let's say layout as well, cards. So it's grouped by the node path. And what you notice also what is another improvement is that the node properties are also available for the tasks now. So you see here, not just, this is task state, which is the a task property, but here we have node type, node title, node status, which we have just added to all the nodes. So we can click also on this, and we have again backlog finished in VIP. So it's the wrong order. So let's fix it, move to the right, and now it's correct. And now these are the tasks from the nodes which have the status VIP in this case. For example, this task, if we scroll up to the properties, we have status VIP here. So this is how it works. Of course, the task can also have their own properties, and there are already some. For example, here is task status or to-do status. So we can click on this and see what happens here. So here we have the hashtag to-do status doing. Actually, it doesn't matter how you name it. It can be task, it can be anything. Just needs to have a hashtag, and then you can give this hashtag also attributes. For example, in this case, status doing, and use also the other functions. So here you can't yet rename the uncategorized column and give them all a default value yet. But what you can do is you can add another column here on the right. So this is doing, this is backlog. Should have added it on the left. Let's move it to the left. And now you can drag it here, and it should assign this to do, where this one already had one to do, but it gave it the status backlog. So let's have one which doesn't have anything yet. For example, this one. Define final launch date, move it here to backlog. And now it has the hashtag here. So you don't need to type the hashtags. You can, again, you just need to create one at least, and then you can drag them. So we will also implement the renaming here shortly after this release. Whoops, let's go back here. So here we have backlog doing, let's add one more after finished. And we can move things around here. Let's move the uncategorized as well to the left. So it's a kind of backlog column for us. So here we have the uncategorized, and then you can start categorizing your tasks basically. And that's it basically with the custom columns. I think I showed you all the options: inserting columns, moving them around, renaming them, or you can also delete them. If they're empty, you can get rid of them again. And now we can switch here between tasks and nodes easily and don't have to reconfigure everything. So Noplan saves this in a YAML file inside the filters folder. So if you are a pro user, you might want to edit this file. It's a simple text file, and it will also sync it across devices. So this will be available on iOS as well. What's also new and interesting is you can click here on the nodes heading as well. You see we have added here a small icon to indicate that you can click on this as well and then see all your nodes. So this folder view has limited nodes. It's only showing the nodes and tasks which are inside this folder. But if you don't want to be limited to a specific folder, you want to see all your nodes, then you can also click on nodes, and you can do something similar with the properties. If you want to sort your nodes independently of the folder. So for example, here we used status and everything, but if you open these properties, I have also added here things like type and category. So for example, if you want to see all your marketing nodes, and then you can click on nodes and then configure the view so that it filters here for the type or category, I mean, marketing, for example. So this is just a small example of this limited folder, but you could also click on the nodes folder, have all your nodes in there, And if you just want to see your marketing notes without changing the folder, so you don't need to move around the notes, they can be in different folders. You can see all your marketing notes in this case by filtering them by the property. So I could also rename this, for example, to marketing. So we have the marketing, in this probably you want to have a list view, and we don't want to group it at all. So now we have all the marketing notes, for example. So just as a quick sample. And you can do the same with the calendar notes now. So you can also click on calendar notes. And the main purpose here is to see all your calendar tasks. You can plan basically your days. You can see what is planned for today, yesterday, the next days. And here we have in filter. So if you go to date, we have the filters which we also use in the filter feature, which are time filters like rolling 30 days, which shows you yesterday, today, and the next 28 or 29 days. And we have basic things like this week, this month, last month, and so on, today. And you have the tasks from your calendar notes here in a summarized view. Basically, you can, it's as limited to the past 3 years by default and unlimited into the future. So there are not too many tasks to load. There's capped at some point. If you have a lot of notes, it loads faster this way. You can also remove this cap and call it upcoming, for example, overdue this month, and so on. So this replaces some of the previous or still existing filters features. Also, you can change this layout to cards and experiment with this to have a horizontal view of your days. And I want to show you a couple of other smaller improvements. So let's go into this node. So one thing is you can now right-click images and resize them from here. So we have added an option resize on iOS and Mac. So on iOS, you do a long press, and you will also see resize. It's a very simple user interface. So here it opens just a dialog box with a text field, and you can use either pixels or percentages. So for example, let's say 50%. And then, or if you say 500, it will know it's pixels. And if you type in percent at the end, it will know it's percent. So, okay. And now you see it's scaled it to half the width of the editor. And so this is if you want to have it like relative, or you can have it fixed, which is in this case 100, for example, if you want to have small images. So you could also stack them now side by side this way, for example. So resizing images is here. And we have also improved the AI. So here we have a PDF from OpenAI, a practical guide building agents. So now you can select PDFs as well, hit Command O, and it can read this PDF now. For example, summarize this, hit enter. And depending on how big the PDF is, so it will convert it either to text and send it to OpenAI, or if it's made up of images, it will extract the images and send them as well to OpenAI. And we have as well updated the GPT model to GPT-5. And you see here's already the result. So it has summarized it. And we have added follow-up prompts or questions as well. For example, in this case, let's say, create a markdown note from this. So you can keep working on the result without having to insert it and then select it again and then edit it and so on. You see it has updated it here. You can also edit things in here if you don't like it quite, and make changes, and then either insert, replace, or just copy it and then decide yourself where you want to have the AI generated content. So now it's summarized for me this PDF, and then I created a markdown note basically out of this. So I hope these new features help you, and let us know about your feedback. Thanks for watching.